Hey guys, and welcome to this video on Black Moon Lilith in astrology. I'm Cassandra, the Saffron Sage, helping you use astrology to evolve, and in this video we're talking about Black Moon Lilith. The Black Moon Lilith, we'll talk about what the point is, we will talk about the mythology, and then we'll go through what it means for the sign that you have Black Moon Lilith in your natal chart. So Black Moon Lilith is not a planet, it's not an asteroid, it is a point in space. It's called a lunar apogee, and it is the distance from the Earth to the furthest point on the moon's orbit. So the moon travels around the Earth in an elliptical orbit. It's not a perfect circle. So there is a point that ends up being further away from the Earth on that circle. And so Black Moon Lilith is that point in space. There is the Black Moon Lilith, and there's also the true Black Moon. So if you really want to get technical, you can look at both of these and see which one you feel resonates. But for the purposes of this video, just simply clicking Lilith in the chart on other objects in astro.com and seeing where it shows up in your chart, that is enough to get value out of these videos. So that being said, let's move on to the myth of Lilith. So Lilith was the true first lady before Eve even existed. Lilith was the first lady, and she was in the Garden of Eden with Adam. And one of the stories I read says they were both created from the dust of the earth. And there are many different myths that talk about Lilith. There's not just one, so these differ. But the gist of the story is that she wanted to be on top. Adam said, "No, you'll submit to me," and she would not submit. And because she would not submit, she got kicked out. Some people say she left, some people say she got kicked out, but the sort of overarching theme here is that she was not accepted just for having the same desires that Adam had. I think it's so fascinating that this story isn't even told. And so again, here the myths differ, but they all kind of basically curse her in some way or another. One that I read said that her children would be cursed to die if she didn't come back to Adam. So we see the themes in this story of, the masculine need for power and control and the feminine need to be wild and free, and how those don't match up. So what does this mean in the natal chart? Lilith has, in my opinion, two meanings. Okay, so one meaning is that Lilith can be the shadow. So this can be an area of life where you tend to overdo it. You have maybe too much of this energy, or the way that you express the energy wherever your Lilith is in your chart is like the shadow side of that sign, the negative side, the overindulgence. It can be where you feel like there's never enough. The second meaning of wherever your Lilith is the thing that people don't let you express, the thing that people get upset at you for expressing. And this may or may not be the energy of your sun, moon, or rising, depending on where Lilith is in your chart. But oftentimes you can actually be embodying this energy in a normal, regular way, and people will not accept you for living that out, even if it's balanced. And so it takes a little bit of self-knowledge, like true self-knowledge, true soul searching, to really be able to kind of parse out the difference with Lilith between where you possibly could be overindulging, where you could be, never satisfied, versus where you are naturally embodying that energy in a balanced and healthy way, but it somehow rubs other people the wrong way, just like Lilith in that story where she wasn't really doing anything wrong. She just said no once. And that was enough to get her cast out of basically society and demonized for the rest of her life. So this is the story in our own lives where we have those sort of archetypes, those themes play out, even if they're not as extreme, right? So we might not be cast out of society, but people around us might not approve for certain things. And, that has ripples and layers of effects. So let's now get into what Lilith means in your sign. So if you have Lilith in Aquarius, there are two ways this can show up. One is excess of Aquarius energy, where this is the thing you can never get enough of. The other way is through people repressing or wanting to try to repress when you express Aquarius energy. So we'll talk about the differences. So first of all, if you are being a little bit too much Aquarius, what's that going to look like? That's going to be being weird. Okay, so Lilith in Aquarius is going to be not only unique, but unique in a way that makes you feel kind of like an outcast. So that's one way this could show up, is feeling like you don't belong, feeling disconnected, feeling like what you think is way on a different page than other people, or having these feelings about yourself regardless of how true they are. So you could have the same crazy weird beliefs as everyone else, and then you can still feel like you are different, you know, feeling different, feeling left out, feeling somehow detached from people. Another way Lilith in Aquarius can show up and be sort of tend toward the negative extreme here is through like being so rebellious that it's hurting you, right? So this would be like someone who is like not paying taxes and then they get in trouble for it, actually breaking laws or breaking rules to rebel, or you know, people who kind of want to take down the system, but the energy is so extreme that it's not being used constructively. So I'll let you decide whether that fits for you or not, but it's kind of this almost like need to be different for no real reason, just because you're in that extreme Lilith energy of, you know, being different at people almost. Other ways this could show up is just being really, really, really smart or very, very educated on a certain topic that is considered, not even considered weird, you know, like Aquarius rules math, technology, all that stuff, sciences. So if you have Lilith here, it could just be that you are very, very smart, or you're genius level, and people around you don't get it. People around you judge you for not being on their mental level. I think a lot of really intelligent people have this problem where when your thinking is elevated, then you can't also think like everyone else. It makes you different. And so I think Lilith in Aquarius is going to have something like this. And it may not be like because you're good at math. There may be something else in your life where this applies to you, where it's almost like you get put on a pedestal, or you're like genius level at that thing. And because you're genius level at that thing, other people don't get you. And the thing about it is that that's not something you can change. When you are unique, you can't also blend in. Those energies, you know, you're one or the other. Moving on now to how this looks if people are rejecting you for it. If people are rejecting you for having Lilith in Aquarius, I feel like it's going to be a lot of what we talked about, where they don't appreciate your ideas. They will make fun of you for your really genius ideas. They will kind of outcast you or just not accept it when you are communicating your different way of seeing things. They will make fun of you for being weird. And weird, I just mean like different, you know, wearing different clothes, or, you know, wearing a style that ended 10 years ago that you just like, or using a certain word that other people don't use, or anything that just makes you unique, which we all have something that makes us unique. But with Lilith and Aquarius, you're more likely to be outcast for it. So I feel like people with this placement, you know, some of the people watching this may have had challenges like when you were younger for being made fun of about something that ends up being a really big gift. You know, I think of people like Eminem, or like, I don't know, maybe Elon Musk, or, you know, Einstein. Einstein had Jupiter in Aquarius, and I'm sure, I don't know his story about his growing up, but something tells me he probably wasn't someone who fit in. So it's like that. It's like, it doesn't mean you are Einstein or the next Einstein, but that there's something about you that is so different, that it's so obvious, that maybe it's actually a superpower, but because of how you were conditioned or the people you've been around, that it becomes a weakness. It's treated as a weakness. So the way to work with this Lilith, and this is different than the other ones, is to own that superpower. And if you can own that superpower, I think this can really alleviate some of the feelings of being rejected, because the same thing that you've been rejected for most people, someone would appreciate you for. So that is what I have for Lilith and Aquarius. You can also book a private reading with me, so you can do so using the link below. And I will see you guys in the next video.